Chris Sale got extended by Atlanta. Harrison Bader signed with the Mets. Dylan Cease is better than you may think he is. And we play GM for the Angels, the Dodgers, and the Kansas City Royals. Jack and Peter on the Just Baseball show for Friday, January 5th. How are you? Who are we brought to you by?
BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, sign up and deposit into your newly created account using promo code JustBaseball. Download the BetMGM Sports app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if it loses. And if that bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once the wager is settled. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. We have a new promo running that'll be live Monday for the Super Bowl. A bet five, get $158 for the Super Bowl 58. It's a no-brainer offer. We'll give you more information about that on Monday.
Dude, we were just talking about your pasta alla vodka, the carbone recipe that you made over Christmas time back home in LA. And I know a lot of the people that follow you on social media know that you like to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it was amazing. One of the better things that you've ever chefed. What's the best thing you've ever created?
That's a good question, because what I personally like versus what other people like may be a different discussion.
Yep.
But yeah, if the baseball thing doesn't work out, if I give out too many bad takes and I'm getting dangerously close to doing so, just cooking might need to start resurfacing.
Are you going to
But
be the bear? Are you going to be Carmy?
I haven't seen that show. I watched the first episode. I thought it
Dude,
was terrible.
like cooking is your alternate identity. Like hell, it's like your sub identity. Go watch The Bear, man. It's the off season.
Yeah, I probably should watch that, but whatever. My favorite thing that I think I make is steak tacos. I think they're unbelievable. But in terms of this pasta recipe, so if you've never heard of Carbone, it's this restaurant in New York City and Las Vegas, and it's basically impossible to get a reservation. I went there when I was in Vegas for the Super Bowl when I was watching my Rams take down the Cincinnati Bengals. That was awesome. But Carbone was almost as awesome. And they have this spicy rigatoni. It's a
I love
famous
vodka.
dish there, a la vodka. It's like heavy cream, tomato paste, onions and garlic. You put it in the pan, let it saute. First of all, is there a better smell in the world than olive oil, onions, and garlic
No,
on a pan? I
no.
don't think there is either. A little bit of basil, some rigatoni. It's a very simple recipe. We knocked it out of the park, my girlfriend and I. Unbelievable dish. Served it for the fam. My sister's birthday. Happy 22nd, Phoebe. We've had a great break.
That's awesome, man. I've roasted garlic a couple times over break. That's kind of like my
Mm.
favorite thing to do. It's a nice just spread on bread. You like almost confit it, but confit takes way too much time. So you just roast it, like pop it in the oven with some olive oil, and it's excellent. And it's the best smell in the world.
It's the best smell in the world. I could eat that roasted garlic just without anything on
Straight
it.
up.
Just
Yeah,
straight
just
up.
as a snack,
I,
pop some heads.
your breath smells like dog shit, but who cares? It's
Yeah,
worth
that's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
We're both in long-term relationships. It's
Yeah.
okay. Like I'm
Yeah.
long distance. It's fine. Hey, Chris Sale is an Atlanta Brave, and now he's got a restructured contract with the Atlanta Braves. And the way that it breaks down is a 2-year, $38 million deal. Sounds very similar to the one Lucas Giolito just signed with Sale's former employer, does it not? 2 years, $38 million. Of course, 1% of it is going to the Braves Foundation. He will make 16 million in 2024. He will make 22 million in 2025, and there's a club option for 18 million in 2026. Here's the catch. In the words of Brad Pitt in Moneyball, "Oh, we're not paying you. The Red Sox are paying you to play for us this year." In the Vaughn Grissom deal, it was Chris Sale and $17 million to Atlanta for Vaughn Grissom. Sales owed 16 this year. So the Red Sox are covering the entirety of Chris Sale's 2024 salary, and they're covering $1 million of his 22 in 2025. This feels like a heist. And I only say that because it's the Braves. If it was another team that extended Sale, I know our shoulders would tense up and we would clench our teeth and we'd say, are we sure this guy's going to stay healthy? He hasn't been healthy since 2019, pretty much. I think what the Braves did is they just bet on the good flashes that they saw from Sale in 2023, and they think they can take care of him in a way that they've taken care of Charlie Morton, where they have the aging once star. Like Sale was on a Hall of Fame track when he got to Boston. Hell, after his first couple of years of Boston, I still would have said, yeah, pencil that guy in for a Cooperstown bust, I think. Now that's not the case, but they think that they can recapture some of that from him. And financially, with this buy-in, no brainer to do this.
Absolute no brainer. I just think it's funny that I looked up Ron Acuna Jr.'s contract and he's making about 12.5 million
Yeah, 8 for
average.
100.
I just like,
wasn't Albies 7 for 35?
yeah, the Braves are playing chess, and I wouldn't even say that the rest of baseball is playing checkers. It's more tic-tac-toe or Connect Four or something like that. No, but there's so many reasons to like it if you are a Braves fan. Number one, and I think a great point that Arm brought up, is just providing an edge, right? Like the Braves always have the most talented team in Major League Baseball, but they don't have much postseason success to go about it because they keep getting beaten by teams like the Phillies who are built from edge. So to bring in a guy like Chris Sale, who Arm so beautifully said just cuts up jerseys, like just a psychopath who only wants to win. Great guy, I think, to just bring into the clubhouse because he's not a bad guy. He just has a crazy edge about him. And then on the flip side, too, sending Vaughn Grissom at this point, like Vaughn Grissom is a good young prospect. If you are a Red Sox fan, you should be excited that Vaughn Grissom is in your building. But for the Braves, where were you going to place him? He was
Nowhere.
pretty much expendable, right? You're not putting him at second because you have Ozzie Albies. Orlando Arcia, I guess, is just straight up good now, right? He was an all-star. I know he didn't have a great second half, but he's still a good player, and he's 29 years old. They traded for Jared Kelnick, so there's not really a spot in the corner because the other corner has Ronald Acuna Jr. So basically, you traded a valuable asset, but for your own team, he is expendable for a guy like Chris Sale, who, if he goes into Atlanta, gets a little bit more of an oomph because now he's competing for a World Series, where in the past 3 years, the Red Sox have not, outside of 2021. Maybe he's a little bit more motivated. So you're getting a motivated Chris Sale coming off a year where he did have a 3.61 expected ERA, a 29% K rate, a 6% walk rate, and posted one of the lowest hard hit rates against of his career. Yeah, I think the Braves did pretty well.
This effectively is 2 for 21 for Sale with a club option at 18. So it can turn into 3 for 39.
Yeah, I mean, like
Masterclass.
And
if he sucks, he sucks. And you decline the club option and it's 2 for 21.
And I don't think he's going to suck. That's the
No.
thing. I'm pretty confident that he is going to be at least a 100 and if we can't project injuries because of course people are going to say, well, Sale hasn't stayed healthy for years. I agree with you. But you could say the dip in production was maybe due to some of those injuries, and it hasn't been a crazy drop in production. So if he can provide 130 innings next year with 150 punch outs at a 3.7, it's well worth the money. And I think he can do that and more so. The numbers are pointing to a good year if he can stay healthy, which of course is the big question. But it's not like you're relying on him to be the number one starter. You have Spencer Strider. You have Max Fried. You have Charlie Morton. You got plenty of reserves. I think it's a great gamble.
Chris Sale hasn't been bad. Since the start of the 2021 season, he started 31 games in 151 innings. Like, that's the big problem. 151 innings over the last 3 years. Like, that's, he's been invisible for the Boston Red Sox, and that's why they were okay doing this. But he's got a 3.93 ERA, 11 punch outs per 9, and 2.5 walks per 9.
Yeah.
Good. Like, he's just been unavailable. He hasn't been bad and unavailable. He's just been unavailable. 2 for 21 is the effective contract for Sale. That is also the projected earning for Dylan Cease in his final 2 years of arbitration. He is estimated this coming year about 8.5 in ARB 2. So ARB 3, if he turns in something in between his 22, where he was a Cy Young runner-up in 2023 season, where he had a 4.5, I bet it's going to be in the $12 to $14 million range in 2025. So I want people to look at Dylan Cease, if your favorite team acquires him, as 2 years for about $22 to $24 million for a guy that has done this. And I just want to run you through some of these numbers. And Our guy Javier Reyes, who does great writing work for us at Just Baseball, had me on Locked On Padres to kind of talk about the prospect of Cease, and that sent me down the rabbit hole of like, do people realize how available he is? And I just
Mhm.
want to contextualize that for you, or I want to give you the numbers that kind of back that up. Since the start of the 2021 season, Dylan Cease leads all major league starters in games started. He started 97 games since the start of 2021. That's one more than Jose Barrios, than Garrett Cole, than Aaron Nola. That's two more than Kevin Gausman. Cease is top 15 in innings. He's one of 20 starting pitchers with over 500 innings. The last 3 years, Dylan Cease is averaging 175 and two-third innings pitched per year,
Mhm.
consistently giving you 175, 180. He's fourth in strikeouts. He's fourth in batting average against. Opponents are hitting 221 against him. Only guys that are better among qualified starters: Corbin Burns, Garrett Cole, Zach Gallen. He's 12th in ERA. He's also first in walks. Okay. Snell just won a Cy Young, leading the National League in walks issued.
Yeah, but you
Uh,
hate that. You hate
what?
that. But
I
you
hate
hate
it.
that he did it.
I hate it. I like he like I was fine with Cease doing it because he was on my team.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Having said that, you're signing up for a guy that has been so ridiculously available and good. In that time, he's top 15 among qualified starters in ERA. I'm not saying he's a top 10 pitcher in baseball because I don't think he is. He's got the talent to be. I think coming into the 2023 season, we were saying, like, yes, without a doubt, this guy's a top 10 pitcher in baseball. Now, not so much because the command got away from him. But you got to understand that your team is going to have to give up a fortune for Cease because they're banking on over 300 innings in the next 2 years. They're banking on a mid threes. They're banking on him striking out the world. So when you see, oh, wow, like the top two starting pitching prospects in our organization and one of the top hitting prospects and like a 15 to 20 guy in our organization are gone for Cease, feels like a lot. That might be the price of this guy.
I think the problem is that teams are finding difficulties formulating a market for Dylan Cease because you said that they are banking on a mid threes ERA. In his last 3 seasons, the stats, that you went over about innings pitched and all that, 3.91 ERA in 2021 with a 3.65 expected, 2.20 in 2022. Unbelievable. 2.70 expected ERA. 4.58 last year. So we got a 3.91, we got a 2.20 and a 4.58. Now, you are going to get him for his age 28 and 29 seasons. You could say that is the prime 2 years of Dylan Cease. But what you can also say is that in his age 27 season, he had a 4.58 ERA with a 4.13 expected. So do I want to trade, right? I'm seeing trade offers from the Yankees where it's Jason Dominguez, Chase Hampton, Will Warren, and Brock Selvage. And I was trying to trade those for Jose Ramirez because
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. And I fully realize that, but I am who I am. How can a team sit here and think to themselves, I'm going to trade my top prospect, my best pitching prospect, another great pitching prospect, and another great pitching prospect for 2 years of Dylan Cease? It's not expensive. The innings are about as guaranteed as anybody else, but we know with pitchers, anybody
I mean,
can
they
go
were
down at
guaranteed
any
with
given
Sandy
moment.
too. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're banking on those because he's done it for the last 3 years. But unfortunately, all these guys at some point come down with something. So when we get him, is this the year where he throws 100? Do we get 4.58 or do we get 2.20? So everything you said, you didn't say anything inaccurate except for the banking on things because we don't have a ton of data on him. And the problem is the walk rates are all out of whack. So if he has his command, he looks like a 2.20 guy. If he doesn't, he's a 4.58 guy. So if I'm a team trying to trade for Dylan Cease with so much up in the air, how can I do that? Why wouldn't I just spend on Blake Snell, right? Instead of giving up prospects. That's why I think the Dylan Cease market, Rick Hahn just, I don't think has a good grasp on this guy.
No, so not Hahn anymore. Chris Getz. People forget Chris
People
Getz,
forget.
who is putting together Royals 2.0.
For me,
Uh,
it's always going to be Rick Hahn until they fully start over.
nope, still fired. Unfortunately, Rick Hahn.
My bad.
Kenny Williams still fired.
See, that's
Uh,
why just cooking might have to start soon. I got to get better at takes.
yeah, no, you just got to remember who the lead decision makers are with each organization. Make a spreadsheet. I've got a spreadsheet I can share with you.
All right, cool.
Yeah, the pushback there is why trade for Cease instead of pay Snell. If you're tight on money, Snell's going to make more this coming year than Cease will make in the next two.
Mm-hmm. But
So
Snell is off a Cy Young, and
yeah,
he's
well,
got two of
Cease
them.
is 1 year removed from being a Cy
Almost.
Young runner-up to Justin Verlander.
But he didn't do it last year, where he legit won the
No, I
Cy
mean,
Young.
Robbie Ray made himself $110 million for doing it the year before. Snell's going to make himself 150, 170 from doing it the year before.
But he's done it
And
twice. He has done it twice.
yeah, like crazy that Snell has done it twice.
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 I did put out on my Twitter, I was like, I know it sounds crazy, and he would have to do so much more. But let's say he wins another Cy Young and has a couple more years similar to what he's done. He's not out of the running for the Hall of Fame, which, as crazy as it sounds, if you go through his numbers, it's not crazy. Will it happen? Probably not. But it's not crazy. That's what I'm trying to say.
Corey Kluber has two Cy Youngs as well. Is Kluber out of the running for Cooperstown?
Yeah, because Kluber's a little bit older than Snell. That's what I'm saying. Snell has to be dominant for the next like 4 years, which is not impossible.
Yeah. No, I mean the hardware helps. Yeah, man. I know the reported Reds ask from Chris Getz was both their top pitching prospects. It was Rhett Lauder and Chase Petty. You could argue Phillips over Petty. I agree with Phillips over Petty, but they asked for Lauder, Petty. They asked for two position player prospects in like the number 10 in the organization range, which was Carlos Jorge, who was a high priced IFA guy, and a Sal Stewart or a Sammy Stafora, that kind of thing. It was a lot. The Reds immediately said no. If there is a trade, like if Chris Getz picks up the phone, calls Brian Cashman and says, "Hey, I want Jason Dominguez," I'd say, "Pleasure talking.
Yeah.
Hope you have a great rest of January. Don't ever call me again."
I think he would do that. Why wouldn't you just trade for Corbin Burnes instead?
Yeah. It's going to be cheaper.
It's going to be cheaper.
Return.
Yeah, because he's a free agent after the year and you got years of control and cheap control with Cease.
Yeah.
I just don't know what I'm getting. There's so many spectrums here. I could legit see a 4.5 ERA again or a 2.20.
So that's why I kind of split the difference. And I'm like, all right, you're going to get a 3.5.
But the thing is,
it's easier for my simpleton brain to compute. I will just say that.
2019 5.79 ERA, 2020 4.01, 2021 3.91, 2022 2.20, then 4.58 in 2023. He has done that once. I know, obviously, there was years where he didn't pitch a full season and all that kind of stuff, like 2019 and 2020, of course.
He was also in his first 2 seasons of Major League Baseball. Those were his first 30 starts, 28 starts in Major League Baseball.
If you're Chris Getz, like, what are you selling here?
I'm selling a guy that has thrown on average 175 innings a year for the last 3 years, so that can strike out everybody, that is fourth in batting average against. I won't go through the numbers again, but those are the numbers that I'm selling. This guy's on the mound all the time, and he's freaking nasty. Turn on the tube. Watch this cat. He's gross. But Chris, he can't throw strikes sometimes. He's nasty. Did you see he led baseball in swords? Like that kind of thing. That's what I'm pitching.
Did you see the swords?
All the swords. Don't chop at it. It's not a sword.
So give me a final prediction. Do you think he gets traded? You don't have to talk about, you think that Chris Getz will get a deal for him at the end?
Yes, Baltimore. I think Dylan Cease is a Baltimore Oriole.
Yeah, I bet the Orioles are going to trade all their prospects. Yeah. Just like the Giants are going to trade, or just like the Giants are going to sign a bunch.
I'm going to do the Shrug thing.
And I'm a part of it too. I'm a part of it too. I'm not even just making fun of you. I've said these things. They just don't fucking happen. I hope they happen.
I know. But I'm going to do the Jordan security guard thing where I just shrug at you and I'm like, you know what, man? Like, hey, look, the Orioles did it. So I think that they're going to trade for Dylan Cease.
Or the Giants do.
Giants are not. Cease is a Baltimore Oriole. Harrison Bader is a New York Met. It
Yeah.
felt weird. I don't know. Ryan Finkelstein was like, I don't love it. And I kind of agree with Fink. Like, 1 year for 10.5 mil to go to New York and kind of do the elevated Tyrone Taylor thing when they just acquired Tyrone Taylor 3 weeks ago. Bader, there were really high expectations for Bader coming into last year, I think, because he was starting his first full year with the Yankees, and then he started bouncing around, and he's going to be a good, immaculate grid name in a couple years when you say, Harrison Bader was a Cincinnati Red. That's right. This felt like a steep price for Bader. He's got a ton of talent, clearly. He reunites with fellow Gator Pete Alonso in Queens, and it's a nice rental deal for the Mets and a prove it deal for Bader to live in New York, live in a major market. I don't know. You've watched Bader up close and personal the last several years. How do you feel about this contract that he just got with that team?
Like I said, I'm never surprised by contracts anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, I've said this like a billion times. Whenever someone gets more than I thought, I'm like, all right, well, that's just the market now. So instead of worrying about the contract value, I'm just going to talk about Harrison Bader, the player. Obviously, the Yankees acquired him for Jordan Montgomery. And at the time, it didn't seem like that bad of a trade. I actually didn't mind it from the Yankees' point of view. We saw what Jordan Montgomery turned into, and we saw what Harrison Bader turned into. Harrison Bader, to simplify things, is a below average hitter who struggles to stay on the field, but plays a great center field. There's a lot of players like that, right? We're going to talk about the Royals. They might have two of those already on their team. Like, is Michael A. Taylor that much different than Harrison Bader? I wanted to give him a chance because it's clear he's talented. It's clear, right? If he just can put up an above average offensive season by WRC plus, like you're potentially looking at a 4-win player if he plays every game. But the problem is he just cannot stay on the field, right? 2023 plays about 98 games. 2022, 86. 2021, 103. He did play 128, 138 back, in 2018 and 2019, but he just doesn't really stay on the field much. So, yeah. And just from the Mets point of view, what's your plan with him? Brandon Nimmo played 136 games in center field last year. I guess you just now move him to left, where he's played center like his whole career and is a good defender there. You just move him off. So now you're putting Nimmo, and there's different reads in left field. Just because a guy is really good in center doesn't mean he's just automatically great in left. Now he's athletic enough. I believe he can be good in left, but you didn't need to do that. There aren't that many great center fielders, and you have one. Go get a corner bat if you're going to do that, right? I know Renfroe already signed, of course, but like you could put Renfroe in a corner, you're going to get some power, and then keep Nimmo in center. And you already got Tyrone Taylor. To me, it felt like they just signed him to get more players. Like kind of when the Angels just sign a reliever, like Adam Simber, just to fill up the roster with guys.
It's kind of my thing. He felt like just another guy to have on the 26-man roster.
Exactly. But you still paid him like $11 million.
Yeah, dude, you just said
that's
it.
the
Like
market.
you're not
Yeah.
surprised by anything. That might just be the price of a 1-year deal for a guy to fill a spot in your 26-man roster.
I just don't know what the plan is. I guess, all right, we're moving Nimmo to left, and now Bader's our starting center fielder. And then when he plays 80 games, like Tyrone Taylor's now the left fielder, or they're planning on platooning him.
I would assume the plan is move Nimmo to a corner for longevity purposes, even though I don't love that reasoning. Like Nimmo's not old enough to warrant that. Trout is. I think Trout's at the point in his career where like you go sign a center fielder and it's, hey, Mike, you're going to move to right for the sake of like wringing 10 more years out of you as opposed to 8. Nimmo, that's just not the case right now. He's not at that point in his career yet.
Nimmo has played 150 games in back-to-back seasons. Back-to-back. Are you worried? I guess he had injury concerns earlier on in his career. Those have kind of subsided. And you just signed him to a huge deal to be your center fielder.
Yeah.
Are you bringing in? I, seemed like a very expensive fourth outfielder who like may start. It
He's
just
going to
made,
start.
yeah, it just didn't really make sense to me. But again, to Mets fans, if you want my honest opinion of Harrison Bader, I like the trade at the time because I know he has talent. He's crazy good defensively in center. There's no debate there. And he has the ability to be a slightly above average hitter, but sometimes his at bats stink. I'm just gonna be real.
He passes the eye test with flying colors as
Very
well. So you
handsome.
see him and it handsome, but also like, wow, you got the Popeye forearms, man, and you wear the mouth guard and your jaw looks good. It's you're gonna hit 25 homers if you play the whole year, and he never plays the whole year and he doesn't hit 25 homers.
Yeah, he's 29 years old and he has a 92 WRC plus for his career, and he's coming off back-to-back years with 85 or lower, including 70 last year. Is he going to get better?
No.
That's what I'm saying. I just didn't get it.
Yeah. All right. We are going to LA and then Kansas City. Nothing like the